My amplified unit, salute. Disney makes a massive and shocking move that has major implications for WWE moving forward. We talk all about it coming up. Also, a former wrestler, a retired WWE star, is coming back for one more match for WWE. I tell you all about it coming up. An event, a pay-per-view for World Wrestling Entertainment, coming up early next year, has just broken the gate. And AEW, we have the initial upfront pay-per-view buys for Full Gear. Did they exceed expectations? Did they fail miserably? Was it a success or was it a failure? The early buy rate is out. We got all of that information coming up. The Rock names his dream match. And we start off with a spoiler buster, perhaps, for Survivor Series. I want to thank every single one of you guys for jumping on board on this Monday morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world, hours before Monday Night Raw. And the big storyline still for Raw is, who is that fifth participant going to be for the women's War Games match for the faces? Right? You have Bianca Belair, you have Asuka, you have Alexa Bliss, you have Mia Yim. Who is that fifth wrestler? Now, this brings us to our big first story here. The Survivor Series graphic, the latest graphic, shows all of the participants for the women's War Game match. Now, my assistant Sasha isn't here yet. I expect her here either by the end of the video or within the hour. But hopefully in post-edit, Sasha can put up the graphics so you guys can see what BC is talking about. And if that is the case, I would love for that to happen right about now, future Sasha. So hopefully you guys are seeing this graphic. Now, in this graphic, there is the shadow of the mystery participant for the faces. Now, many fans quickly rush to social to declare that it is indeed Sasha Banks because they see blue hair. That's what you're seeing all over message boards and social, because this mystery shadow person has blue tones. We believe that is now Sasha Banks. Now, BC hates to be the bearer of bad news, but in the words of Wade Barrett, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. If you guys look closely at the graphic as a whole, nearly every participant, for the faces anyway, and even a little bit on the heel side, they have a shade of blue on them, right? Asuka on her left, the shade of blue. Now, her hair is always two-toned, so I guess that's not that out of the norm to see that. But then you look at Bianca Belair. Bianca also has a shade of blue. Now, I don't remember Bianca having two different shades of hair color, but Bianca also has a shade of blue. Obviously, Mia, her whole hair is blue, so I don't think that's a shocker. But my point is, a bunch of the faces have that blue tone in their hair. And even if you go over to the heel side, Bayley's face, half of Bayley's face is blue. So I believe that's just how the graphic, the overtones of the coloring was supposed to be. They thought it would be a cool effect, and it is, right? A little bit of aspect of the Raw brand and the blue brand. And you have War Games, which is, if you look at the graphic on many, or at least the lettering, the logo on many of the graphics, you see a lot of the white, the red, and the blue tones. So, what I am saying, guys, I'm not saying that it won't be Sasha, okay? Of course, this certainly seems to be the perfect situation for Sasha to return. It's Boston, Massachusetts. She's been teasing a lot more about coming back. She's got her own little trademarks. It looks like if they did restructure a deal, Sasha and Triple H, that they were able to structure in a way where she gets to do some outside endeavors, just like Brock Lesnar gets to do. Maybe she now has that type of respect with the WWE. So, because there are some trademarks that were filed that we do believe is Sasha Banks. You know, Mercedes Moné, M-O-N-E. So I'm not saying this won't be Sasha. Of course, BC would be over the moon ecstatic if it was, because I'm such a big Sasha fan. I believe she is the best women's wrestler on the planet. I make no bones about that. I don't hide the fact that that's what I think. But this certainly seems like fans are reaching just a bit. Just a little bit. It seems like fans are reaching. We're just trying to find any type of a hint in the graphics. Bailey's side of her face is blue. So I'm not reading too much in this. I hope it is. It'd be badass for people like BC, and I think fans in general, even if you're not a fan of Sasha, it's going to add such a great element if she returns in Boston in this match especially. Man, what she would bring, that level of physicality, that level of interest, that level of captivation would be in a whole nother stratosphere. But I will say this, whether we're reaching or not, whether it's Sasha or not, I will say that with love and respect over to Mrs. Johnny Wrestling, it has to be bigger and better of a surprise than Candice LeRae. Brah, we all can admit Candice LeRae would be abundantly underwhelming. And that's with love and respect to Candice LeRae. And I totally understand that it would make a little bit of sense, you know. Candice got jumped by Damage Control a few weeks ago. She hasn't been seen since. She's going to show up at War Games. The problem, guys, is this isn't just the little pond of NXT anymore. That works there. Here, you have a shit ton of casual fans that will tune into this event. A lot. And even fans that are a little above the casual status. They've only got to see Candice LeRae a couple of times on the main roster, man. A couple of matches that, by the way, were 50-50 booked. And then she was just beaten up backstage, which wasn't even on camera. Bailey shoves the camera, and then you just hear the ass whooping of somebody that you've just seen a couple of times. If you didn't watch NXT faithfully, you didn't care about Candice LeRae, and you certainly don't care anymore about her on the main roster. And now, all of a sudden, she's your Big Bang Theory surprise at Survivor Series. Now, most likely, that's going to be the case. If they were not able to land Sasha, that could be the case. It could be Candice LeRae. I think that's the front runner. And I wouldn't be shocked if that's a huge letdown. You know, you might get an initial pop. Fans are just ready to fucking welcome somebody back, and they're already ready to pop. But especially to the viewers at home, I don't know how much Candice LeRae is going to offer the main roster War Games spot, the final spot, the big mystery spot. Expectations are talking about Sasha Banks, and you have somebody who's been on the main roster couple of weeks, and then they got beat up and sent home. I don't know, man. I know. A lot of you guys are going, BC, I love Candice. I hope it is. This is going to be great. I get it, because you're a little bit more of a fan, maybe, and you know more about Candice. To you, it's more special. I get it. But this is no longer that little pond, man. I mean, you guys saw. Let's just use facts. You saw what happened when Mia Yim just showed up. And this is somebody who was on the main roster several months before she got Das Boot. And Mia Yim shows up, and I mean, it's either crickets or they were just snoring. I mean, they were snuggled up in their snuggies. Nobody gave a fuck. Sarah Logan, okay, you got a little bit of a pop from the crowd. They didn't really know who. Look at the crowd when people are, who? Sarah who? And then all of a sudden on social, people are kind of like, okay, well, what do you do with her? It's okay if she's a manager, but wrestling-wise, she never brought that much to the table. Did she get that much better? I mean, people were more puzzled by it. So, Candice LeRae, she showed up wasn't her debut in Canada? And after the initial pop, it was kind of like, hey, what are we doing? You know, what's the trajectory? And it's clear they didn't have anything. She was 50-50 booked, and then she was sent home. To be what? The surprise entrant into War Games? I'm just saying, guys. I mean, Triple H is using these ladies kind of weird. Why not pump them up? You know what I mean? It's okay to, like, give them some video packages or let the people that don't know them, give them a sense of why they should give a shit about them. So when they actually debut, poof, you got something sitting in your lap, man. People can actually go, oh, shit, that's the person I've been seeing for 4 weeks in the vignettes. Something. Give them a little bit more love. They just show up, and H is thinking that we all know who they are because maybe we watched NXT. Guys, that's not how you do business, man. We see this with Tony Khan all the time in AEW, man. It's one thing to feed your niche audience. That's great. Your niche is going to be there no matter what. But shit, if you want to grow and help out the casuals, because unlike what CM Punk says, he's wrong. Casuals are absolutely not only prevalent in pro wrestling, casual fans are a bulk of your audience. Check out WrestleMania season, for instance. Watch how numbers spike. And then right afterwards, a few weeks out, it goes really down. Watch. Well, who the hell do you think that is? That's the casual audience. The people that watches Monday Night Football nonstop doesn't even flick the channel back over to Raw because Raw's been such shit for so long. I don't blame them. And then after maybe football, they go, maybe I'll just fucking leave it on wrestling, right? Those are casual. Those are casual. And you're going to need them on your side, man. So it's just weird how Triple H has been booking his ladies. This was a strong suit for Paul Levesque. Paul Levesque in NXT, he booked them so wonderfully. They were one of his brightest fucking spots in the show was the ladies. And today, it's just like he lost track. No promoter in the U.S. right now knows how to book the ladies properly. I got to give Impact some fucking love and respect, actually. They put a focus on them, and their ladies seem to come across as a little bit more special, whether it's a Deonna Purrazzo, whether it's a Jordan Gracie, whether it's a fucking Chelsea Green. Obviously, Gail Kim, wherever she goes. But Mickie James, throughout the years, you just, even though it's not a WWE or an AEW, I mean, their ladies continue to raise their own stock and somehow enter the headlines, and they don't have to be a part of one of the bigger organizations. Just odd. So that's our big story, guys. The big graphic, and everybody's going, oh, blue hair. This is definitely Sasha. We're hoping, but I wouldn't bank on it. I wouldn't hold your breath on it. Don't be shocked if it's what we think it's going to be. Just a little old Candice LeRae coming back because she got beat up a few weeks ago backstage, off camera. Moving on, guys. Early estimates for AEW Full Gear 2022 pay-per-view buys pegged the number right around All Out's number, which was 140,000 buys. So again, the early estimates for AEW Full Gear 2022, the pay-per-view buys, is pegged roughly around 140,000 buys. Again, that is hovering the number of the last pay-per-view All Out. So this would be considered a success for the company if they are anywhere near the 140,000 buys, as many fans felt that the build for this event was not up to par with past events. This is the AEW diehards, by the way, saying, whoa, not feeling the build. So if they are able to come anywhere near that 140,000 all-out buy rate, you got to think that's a nice piece of success that Tony Khan can put in his pocket and walk away. Don't turn back in case there's a mistake. However, it would fall way short of last year's Full Gear event, which brought in 155,000 buys. So that is a 10% roughly drop, maybe even a little bit more. There's no calculator, and BC, it's too much on his dome piece to do that in my head. But it's roughly around 10% because they lost 15,000 buys from last year. Now, of course, you want to build your product and get better and better. You don't want to drop. However, the first couple of Full Gears, I believe that was roughly like 90,000 and 100,000. So you take the last 2 years over the first two, Tony Khan is going to take that shit. But the big drop off from last year, but you hovered around All Out. You got to take that as a little bit of a success because there was not a lot of excitement to this event, and there was a lot of people coming right out and saying, I'm just not getting this event. I've bought in every AEW pay-per-view. This one, I'm just going to sit out on. Big AEW fan, still supporting, just not buying this. There was a lot of people saying that. So this will be huge if they could pull that 140. We're going to have more on this within the next 48 hours, and I will have the finalized buy rate number. It's never really finalized. A year later, you still see tweaks in numbers for many pay-per-views, but we'll have a better understanding. That could go upwards of 145, or it could go to 135, and then you'd be 20,000 away from last year's number. But we'll stick it at around 140 for now, and I'm sure Tony loves to hear that, or at least is satisfied with that number and beyond. Moving on, another big story. Bob Iger has replaced Bob Chapek, the battle of the Bobs, if you will. Bob Iger has replaced Bob Chapek as Disney's CEO in a shock move, seemingly made overnight. Now, this was actually in the making for a while. Nobody thought this move would be made. But Chapek on the way out, if you follow stock and if you follow big organizations, big companies like Disney, you kind of saw this coming from a mile away. Disney is in huge troubles, and they don't have to be if they just make the right calls. That starts with the CEO, obviously, and Chapek, who people call Bob Paycheck, not Chapek, Paycheck, because he just liquidates every penny, and it doesn't seem like anything is moving the needle in the right direction. But BC kind of saw this coming from a mile away. This is what happens when your stock isn't spiking and your board thinks you're incompetent. You get voted out and you get given Das Boot. And that's what happened to Bob Chapek. Paycheck. What does this have to do with pro wrestling, you ask? Well, Iger was a big advocate of bringing in WWE programming and licensing into the Disney platforms and family. And even more important, if you follow Iger's career, he is a massive IP guy, intellectual property. So is Nick Khan. Good buddy of Bob Iger, by the way. He's a huge IP guy. And instead of just creating new things, Bob Iger takes already established juggernauts and gives them an even bigger spotlight on the Disney platforms. So, for instance, Star Wars Land. If you've ever been to Disney World or you know about it, Star Wars Land, Cars Land, Aventura's Pandora Land, all of that, Iger. He just wants to take those big intellectual properties, give it a Disney spin, make it a land, and bring in the money. And the parks bring Disney record revenue nearly every quarter. It's what they try to win with the Disney Plus because they try to compete with the streaming services, and that's where they just got derailed. And Bob Chapek, the CEO that just was given Das Boot for the former CEO Bob Iger to come in and clean up his mess, Paycheck just didn't know what to do. He didn't know how to solve this problem with making Disney Plus an attractive streaming service that people wanted to renew. Because when Iger left, he left a big subscription number. He left a lot of people. The problem is after 3 years, you have to renew. Well, here we are under Paycheck, and Paycheck doesn't make anybody need to renew it. There's nothing on the platform that is satisfying their cravings. So they had to give him Das Boot because that's where Disney is failing. The park is bringing in record revenue, and instead of reinvesting into the parks, they have to put the majority of it into Disney Plus. The problem is all this money going into Disney Plus is falling to the wayside. You're basically just burning money. That's what's happening. So in comes Bob Iger, the former CEO. Once they gave this new guy the boot, overnight, basically, is what it seems to many people. Again, I saw this coming from a mile away. I didn't think it was going to be Iger coming back, though. I knew Paycheck's days were limited. But Iger comes in. Not surprising, he was looking at WWE in the first place. As a huge IP guy, that's a natural relationship. And we already knew that Nick Khan was already talking to Vince about Disney. And Rock, Nick Khan's best friend, one of his best friends growing up in childhood, Nick Khan, the CEO of WWE, and The Rock. Rock is Mr. Disney as of late, and their relationship continues to bloom by the day. And then all of a sudden, before Iger leaves, he makes this massive transaction that put a halt to everything else. And the massive transaction was he bought Fox. So before Iger left the first time to make room, to make way for the new CEO, Bob Paycheck, Iger made a huge deal with Disney to buy Fox. And then he thought he set up Paycheck in a good way. He said, here you go. I gave you this. Now, once you settle everything out, this acquisition is going to bring you much more money in the long run. The problem was because Paycheck couldn't bring any fucking esteem to Disney Plus, the Fox deal kind of lingered and it became an anchor for Disney. And they're still trying to pay that fucking debt. So Iger brought in Fox and then kind of left is how people look at it. But he set Chapek up pretty damn good. Chapek just didn't have any answers. So now they bring this guy back to try to settle this Fox deal. And Disney's still trying to pay it off. They think Iger is going to be the best way to do that. And now here we are with Iger back. And he's not going to just stop, right? Disney keeps printing the money, right? Disney's going to keep finding ways because Disney's a never-ending operation. The theme parks alone is never-ending. You're always going to need a new coaster, a new ride, a new show, new attractions. That's what keeps people coming back. So it's a never-ending operation. Iger knows this. He is a huge IP guy. If you think coming back now with a 2-year span, he's describing it as he's going to be here for a couple of years to set the new predecessor up better than what he did for Chapek, hopefully. So there'll be no issues, and they'll start to make a lot more money than lose it, to burn through it. So he's going to be around a couple of years. If you think he's just going to change the way he does business all of a sudden now, after years and years of doing it one way, the IP way, it's not going to happen. So Iger's going to come in, and Iger's going to be setting up as many IP deals as he possibly can. It's money up front, and he'll make tenfold on the exit. Case in point, Harry Potter World and Universal, right? That was a lot of money for Universal to gamble on that. Do you know how much money it takes? Because you're now in a relationship with the J.K. Rowling, the author. She gets a big cut. Every single day she's making money off of Universal. So Universal has to pay for the fucking rights, the IP rights up front. They got to pay for just being in that relationship with the author, with the publishers. I mean, there's a massive, massive deal put in place that Universal is taking the biggest gamble of all time when you produce a world like Harry Potter World, Diagon Alley, Hogwarts, all that shit that they built in their parks, and they're hoping that this is a home run or else they're fucked. What happened was it was such a success, they're actually competing with WDW now, Walt Disney World. In fact, so much so, and they don't have to worry about their own subscription service like Disney Plus. It's so big that they're building a whole nother park called Epic Universe currently. And in 2025, that is going to debut and give Disney a punch right in the fucking mouth. Right? That takes such a gamble. But they started making so much money. Attendance rose tenfold. Revenue rose 14. Literally, guys, the start of Harry Potter World, it rose 14% in the first 6 months, and it rose to 59% after the first year. Revenue, still to this day, because of Harry Potter World, is recording, by quarterlies, it is recording record profit. Harry Potter, one land did that. One IP brought in all of that. So Iger knows that there's the money there. You're going to pay up front. But they already own the rights to lands like Cars Land, for instance, Star Wars. That's all theirs now. So when you branch out into like Aventura, Pandora, yeah, now you have to license that shit. Now you have to split the revenues. Now you're taking more of a gamble. Iger's always done that. Iger had his mindset on WWE before he left. He acquired Fox. Fox and WWE cut a massive deal. So WWE is already in bed with Disney. Disney acquired Fox. WWE and Fox have a massive deal. On top of that, WWE is still involved with Hulu. Hulu, owned by Disney. And recently, earlier this year, new WWE CEO Nick Khan struck a massive deal with Disney Plus in Indonesia. It is the first huge international deal of its kind. And Nick Khan stated adamantly several times when he gave his presser about that huge deal. He said this is just the first of many huge relationships and deals going with Disney in the future. And I thought that was so telling as The Rock was becoming Mr. Disney. I told you guys, if WWE ever sells, do not be surprised, do not be shocked if Nick Khan and The Rock are the lead investors. There's going to be a bunch of people behind him. I thought it was going to be Comcast, NBC Universal, which, by the way, owns Universal Studios. But it could be. I mean, they could be setting themselves up for another massive deal with the WWE. They could be a lead investor at least, if not solely. One way or the other, there's going to be a big, big relationship boom between WWE and Disney within the next 2 years. Mark my words on that. If you think the Hulu deal, the Fox deal, or in the Indonesian Disney Plus deal is it, you got another thing coming. Nick Khan and Bob Iger are going to work on a lot of shit. And you're going to see a lot more WWE presence with the Disney. And I just hope it stays that way and not more Disney in our WWE product. And that's no shade to Disney. They got great parks. BC loves to frequent there. More so Universal, less kids. That's another story. Not a big kid guy. Universal's a little bit more for the grown-ups, especially their events like Halloween Horror Nights and shit. But they're beautiful parks. Disney Plus is hurting. They're going to have to get that situated. Iger seems to be the guy for it. And they're going to have to even keel this Fox deal that is anchoring them right now. And hopefully Iger can do that. And by the end of 2 years, if he can level that off, his last big act might be with the new WWE CEO, Nick Khan. So I'm going to keep a close eye on this whole development with Iger and Disney. I'm going to keep a close eye on what Nick Khan is saying to his shareholders and everybody involved on the board. And if anything develops, man, BC will be the first to tell you, because this is a massive move. This is massive. Because Nick Khan and Bob Iger, they're close. And I'm telling you right now, man, Iger knows that WWE could be a vehicle to help that company. I don't know if it's going to work vice versa. I don't know how much Disney's going to help WWE. But we'll be keeping an eye on that. Bob Paycheck Das Boot. Iger is back as head of Disney, and now talks between him and Nick Khan can resume for something massive in the future. Guys, moving on. The Rock, speaking of, we touched on him a little bit in that last story. The Rock recently revealed that one of his Ultimate Dream matches, not so fast, acknowledgers, one of The Rock's Ultimate Dream matches is one of BC's all-time favorites, man, and that is someone who is unfortunately no longer here with us, but in many ways will always be with us. And I'm talking about the Macho Man, Randy Savage. The Rock posted a pic. It looked like he was just leaving the gym, and he was sporting his Macho Man glasses, man. Several different types of Macho glasses. BC's got several pairs. And if you know, you know. And The Rock was sporting a big smile with those glasses. And he talked about how Macho Man was always one of his dream matches. It would have been such an honor and privilege and just amazing to share the ring with Savage, is what he put in his post. And it was so cool to see that respect that The Rock gave out to Macho Man, because BC is a huge advocate, in us older fans, not too old, watch it, but us older fans teaching and showing younger fans Savage's work, because Randy Savage was and should be, going forward, the blueprint of what a pro wrestler's foundation should be. It always was, and it always should be going forward, what every pro wrestler should view. Everyone's going to be different, right? Everyone's got different characteristics, different skill sets, different mindsets, right? Totally understand, and that's how it should be. Charisma, personality, all that's always going to be different. But a blueprint of what a pro wrestler should have, like prerequisites before you even get into the business, like a checkoff, like, am I even going to be good at this? This is like being a lead singer in a band, but you don't have a voice of a lead singer. You can't sing. Well, right there, you should probably not jump into the career of lead singer in a band, right? If you just suck at cooking, I mean, you burn ramen noodles, for crying out loud, you probably shouldn't be a chef at the Four Seasons, or much less Seasons 52. You shouldn't even be at Olive Garden reheating pasta, right? There's just things that you would like to do, a dream position maybe, but you just know you would suck at it, or you just don't have the skills for it. Well, being a pro wrestler, before you even jump into the business, there should be prerequisites, the foundation of what a wrestler should be built upon. And Randy Savage is that foundation. So BC is a huge fan of showing younger fans and teaching them to go back and watch Randy Savage. Even if you don't like watching old wrestling, watch Randy Savage matches, watch his promos, listen to his promos, watch and listen, and go back into history with his feuds and his storylines. They're so much fun, man. So much fun. And you'll get a new sense of why us older fans miss pro wrestling and kind of what it was. And I know over the years, everything has to evolve. But, there's many times where I watch today's wrestling and I think, are we really evolving or are we going backwards? We're starting to lose the identity of what pro wrestling, the core of pro wrestling, what it was founded upon. And Randy Savage is one of those dudes that'll show you that even in 2022, even in 3022, you still need to have everything that Randy Savage delivered. Anyway, it was so cool to see The Rock show homage to one of BC's favorites. And, man, I just got to say, man, much love to the Match. I'm sure Bobby Heenan and Gorilla Monsoon are up there right now calling a Macho Man Randy Savage versus Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig match. Mr. Perfect Macho Man, Bobby Heenan and Gorilla on the call. I just know it, man. Up next, the latest we are hearing is that WWE is scrambling to put together a WrestleMania plan for tag champions the Usos. The original and to many obvious plan was Owens and Zayn versus the Usos at WrestleMania. Owens and Zayn take the title, which, by the way, let me talk to you. If I could tap into my LA night, let me talk to you. Okay, because we got to talk about this. Everybody is like, oh yeah, it's got to be Owens and Zayn to get the tag titles at Mania. My question, guys, is then what? All of this reign for the Usos was to drop it to a team that's not even a team. And I know, up front you say, yeah, but BC, I mean, this is sitting in their lap, man. It's Owens and Zayn. They have such a history. They're kind of a team even when they're not. This will be great, BC. But now I ask you, will it be? Because Vince McMahon and Triple H have not shown you any indication that they give a fuck about the tag team divisions. They don't. So you have to hope that this is going to be fun after just 2 months. I honestly wonder, why are we having Kevin Owens and Zayn after they win the titles and we all fucking give a huge pop and go, this is awesome. And we all go on social and go, wow, new tag champs. Then we're all going to start to realize, wait a second. What does this mean? There's no tag team division. Are we going to see the Usos versus Zayn and Owens 86 times? Are we going to get hot-shotted Street Profit matches in like every week for no reason? Even though all are going to be faces, most likely. Unless they turn the Profits. I don't know. Are the Alpha Academy still going to be around collecting L's? And there's no tag team division, or much less one that we care about. And you're going to tie up somebody who actually has momentum right now, like Kevin Owens, and another person who is gliding on a lot of momentum if Triple H allows him to. It looks like he kind of fucking held him back the last 2 weeks. After the whole Uzi shit, they kind of put a muzzle on it. It was weird. But if Triple H allows Zayn to be, I mean, he's fucking with all this momentum. You just stuff him in a tag team in a non-existent division. I think people need to just... See, BC's always thinking 10 steps ahead. It has nothing to do with a short attention span. I can't stand people with short attentions, which happens to be most people in 2022. But I'm just thinking ahead. I mean, like stuffing people in a tag team just because you're admitting you have nothing else for them. I'm just boggled by where you could possibly, like, having tag team championships in a division that never gets any love and care. It's basically non-existent. The only thing worse is the women's tag division, which is literally non-existent, by the way. Literally. Like, there is not 3 teams, I don't believe, that are like actual teams that weren't just thrown together out of nowhere, like Alexa and Asuka over weeks. Fucking Raquel and Aaliyah, and then Aaliyah gets injured, so then it becomes Raquel and... Oh, who took her place? Raquel and Shotzi, maybe? Shayna and Ronda, because they're good buddies. People are going to say, that's a tag team. In the future, it probably is going to be. But no, I'm not just talking about throwing people out. I'm talking about, like, who's the real tag teams? I thought Shayna and Natty were fucking thrown. It's just interchangeable. Everybody's just with somebody different all the time. I don't think there's three teams. Damage Control is one. They threw together Io and Dakota. And I don't know if there's 2 other actual tag teams. I really don't. I said that as a joke at first. I don't think you can name 3 tag teams. Then I'm like, wait a second. I don't think there's 3 actual tag teams. Anyway, that's literally non-existent. At least for the men, you have Alpha Academy, Viking Raiders, Street Profits, New Day, Usos, maybe 1 or 2 others. You got like groups, like LDF, and you have groups like Hit Row. I guess it would be a tag team. Yeah, and isn't that sad, man? You actually have tag teams. You just see the same matches over and over because they refuse to do jobber matches and then build to marquee matches. You know? So you're just getting the same superstars versus superstars matches and then by the time you get to the pay-per-view, you have nobody left. So we're just getting a match that we've already seen 100 times with even less care. And now we just have to pay money for it. You know, back in the day, man, like I always say this, you know, you wouldn't see the Rockers versus the Hart Foundation all the time. Never you would see it. One time. I think we saw that. And then they had to redo it because the ropes broke or something. I think that was that match. Rockers and Hart Foundation, you never got to see that. Legion of Doom versus the Demolition, you never really got to see that. You know, there's such an actual tag division with actual storylines, and you had to wait for those matches. Sometimes you got them, sometimes you didn't, but the tag division was stacked. They even found a way to make matches like Natural Disasters versus Money Incorporated. They found a way to make that intriguing. So I just, you know, why everyone's all excited to see Owens and Zayn win tag titles, I'm just thinking about I mean, are we just going to get a goofy comedy act every week after that? I hope it's like serious, and I hope they try to make a division. And by they, I don't mean Owens and Zayn. I hope WWE really tries to make a division. Because I don't know if I want to see Zayn and Owens just thrown into a fucking tag team. Just like I didn't want to see Randy Orton and Matt Riddle, goofy Matt Riddle. Serious Matt Riddle is best for business. Goofy Matt Riddle, Randy. Treating Randy like he's his fucking father, and Randy's got to treat him like he's his stepchild. And everything was goofy, right? We had the comedy, the scooters. And everybody, so many people laughed, and they went out and got their 420 shirts and their Randy shirts, and we giggled. The best way to utilize Randy Orton, and what could have been his last run, his back is really bad. People are concerned in WWE. His last run is going to be with fucking Scooter McGee, Bongos McGee. You know, people were fucking giggling. I was like, dude, this is doing nothing for the tag division at all. I just hope it's not a comedy shtick. But I may not have to worry because, again, the latest that we're hearing is WWE is still scrambling to put together a plan for the Usos because of Sami Zayn's. A little bit of a rise for Sami Zayn as of late. So if Zayn's star continues to shine, the best way I can put it, if Sami Zayn's star continues to shine brighter and get raised even higher, then does he take on Solo Sikoa one-on-one at WrestleMania and you set up the storyline with those two? Or, even bigger, do you get a one-on-one with Roman Reigns? Imagine if they didn't go Cody and they couldn't land The Rock for a dream match, do they go Sami Zayn? I know some of you guys think that way. My right-hand man, JR9 on this channel, mentioned that many moons ago. And BC said if they do it correctly and pristinely, I could be on board with that. Do I trust them to do that? No. But you have to give me a damn good reason why we're not getting Roman and Cody or Roman and Rock. I say there's 2 nights of WrestleMania. You can get the dream match with The Rock and you could still face Cody. But if Triple H allows Sami Zayn's star to shine brighter, and you do set that up, okay, well then the tag team championship match is now absolutely changed. And I think that's why we're hearing that now the writing staff has been told, halt, stop the train. We don't know where we're going now. And that sucks because you have the Usos with a title reign that's lasting this long, and there's no clear indication on how they're going to culminate, put a cherry on top of that before they drop it. They don't know right now. I think we're going to find out, the company, is going to find out a lot more coming out of War Games. Just by reaction, get a feeling of the situation, and then they get a better feel of how they want to go going forward toward Royal Rumble. But as of right now, guys, there's no set plans in stone. That's the latest we're hearing. That's what my people are saying down in Florida, and they got that type of juice, man. They got that type of wording. And they're both saying the same thing. Like, there's no set plans for the Usos at Mania at all, and it's because of Sami Zayn. That's a good problem. You have a star that's right there, possibly. Give him that fucking spot. The way they used him this week was so odd. They have him come out and just say, we're feeling Usi, and we don't care who the 5th member is, and then he takes off. At the end of the night, the best part with Sami is that he had a stare down with Kevin Owens. But they didn't even try to capitalize on this momentum that Sammy had with this whole Usi shit. For the past 2 weeks, he's been off TV. Crown Jewel, okay, that's one thing. Then the next couple of shows, he's away for personal reasons. Maybe he took a vacation, who knows? But they didn't go out of their way to really promote or market or mention the whole Usi shit. Every time it was chanted, the wrestler would give a quick little remark on and just move on, right? And the commentators would not really speak on it. I mean, that's something that's gold. You know, you could be pumping up Sammy while he's gone. They didn't even try to do that. It was weird. He was booked oddly this week. The stare down saved it with Owens, and we'll have to see it in War Games. Maybe starting maybe tonight or Friday night, he'll get some more proper booking. But that'll tell us what they're doing with the tag team division, because at this point, the women's and the men's tag team division is so much in flux that I cannot think, and I mean this, guys, I cannot think of one tag team match. And that sucks because the Usos are one of my favorite tag teams in the world. They're so damn good, even still to this day. And I cannot think of one tag team match for the ladies and the men that BC would need to see at WrestleMania. And that sucks. This is around the time where we can start getting creative and go, oh, I can't wait to see that tag match. You know, that's how we should talk about Mania. There's none. And you could even say my girl Sasha, right? What, BC, what about your girls, man? Sasha, Naomi going for the tag team. No, I don't want to see Sasha and Naomi in a tag team. I didn't before. Sasha's too fucking good to be tied to the hip with anybody. I don't care if it's a best friend or her own mother. Sasha shouldn't be in a tag team with Bayley the first 2 times or Naomi. And just to come back to WWE in the same fucking tag team, why? Put Charlotte in a fucking tag. Why is it always got to be Sasha? Sasha is better than Charlotte. I'll say it. But she always has to play second fiddle. Go play around in a non-existent division. That's stupid. Put Charlotte in a team. Lacey or something. Who cares? Who gives a shit? Charlotte and Emma. Sorry, Emma. I much respect to Emma. And I feel she's improved tenfold. But something. Give Charlotte something. Let Sasha bloom on her own and collect fucking individual titles. Naomi is too damn good to be in a tag team too, by the way. If I was running WWE creatively, I would have something storyline-wise for both easily. Naomi would always have a storyline, even if I don't have her in a title picture. So no, I don't even want to see Sasha come back in a tag team. To what? Win titles again in a non-existent division, and the vicious cycle keeps on going round and round with no change. The definition of insanity is doing the same things over and over in that circle and expecting a different result. It's like the moon, the sun. It's just fucking orbiting the fucking planets, right? And it's going round and round every fucking day. The sun comes up, the sun comes down. It goes round and round, 365 every fucking year. It's the same day. Everything goes round and round. And then all of a sudden, one day, it comes around a new planet out of nowhere, right? It's a fucking massive planet. There's human life on it, or fucking life form, right? And the sun is like, what the hell? When did you get here? Poof, it just fucking magically appeared. That's not gonna happen. You have to build these fucking divisions, bro. Every day you go to work, it's the same fucking thing. You fucking lunge your fucking bag to work. It's the same houses. It's Miss Jenkins to the left of you, fucking Dougalheimer on the right of you. It's the same houses, same establishments, same fucking goofy crossing guard trying to put the shitty kids to their schools. And then all of a sudden, you walk by a fucking a Starbucks just popped up magically overnight. Your days just got so much brighter. You have a Starbucks right the fuck there, right before work. What the? Where did you come from? Oh, we were built overnight, fully staffed, ready to produce coffee, and it all happened overnight while you were sleeping. Life doesn't work like that. You have to build this shit over time. This is one of those things. BC, give Triple H time. It takes time. No, day one, you think about this shit. Day one, you just start the process of a better division. The women are not any better than they were under Vince. You just got more and more of them now. The tag divisions are no better than they were under fucking Vince. You just got fucking more nonsensical bullshit booking. Day one, you need to start caring about this shit. Now here we are just a few months away from WrestleMania, and I can't say that we're in any better spot. Anyway, plans are up in the air for the Usos now. Great. Shout out. Moving on to WWE producer Jamie Noble. He recently announced he'll be returning to the ring for one more match. At 45 years young, he'll be wrestling in West Virginia, his home state of West Virginia, I believe, on December 11th. And that is for WWE, not for some independent promotion. He's going to wrestle for WWE in his home state, man. One more match for Jamie Noble. Still to this day, I shout out of nowhere. I'm not even joking, guys. I'll be with fucking friends. I'll say it to myself. I just shout out of nowhere. Do you know who I am? I'm Jamie Noble. Most of the time, people have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. Do you know who I am? I'm Jamie Noble. Give me respect. I'm Jamie Noble. If you know, you know. Back in 2002, 2003, maybe even 2004, that era, Jamie Noble, bro. I was always just a big fan of that dude. And he had his girlfriend, Nydia. Maybe you guys remember Nydia. I believe she won Tough Enough. And they paired her with Jamie Noble. And they were basically like a trailer trash type of characters. They were just the best, man. I just love that duo. And he actually faced Nydia in a match, by the way. I think it was a blindfolded match. Go figure. Just figure Nydia and Jamie Noble in a match together. He's also known for a little bit of younger fans as his J&J Security role. Remember J&J Security, and also the Authority. The Authority stints. So much love and respect over to Jamie Noble. Crush it, brother, in your return match. I know you're going to do great. I know you're going to rock it out. So crush it, Jamie Noble, and I will absolutely catch footage on that for sure. Moving on, WWE Royal Rumble 2023, the upcoming Rumble, guys. This January has just broken the record for the largest gate in event history. Being held in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, the gate just broke 5 million. 5 million, bro. And this breaks the previous record set in 2017 at that same very location, the Alamo Dome, San Antonio, Texas. So it had the initial record, or at least recently in the past 5 years, 6 years, 2017. And it's going to collect the 2023 record 6 years later. So congrats over to World Wrestling Entertainment for that. And we'll cap it off with a little bit of LOL. For those wondering Colt Cabana's thoughts during the Trios title match at Full Gear this Saturday night, while the crowd was chanting, "Fuck CM Punk," that was a real chant, "Fuck CM Punk," Cabana tweeted out, and I quote, "I was chanting for the elite." LOL, man. I was chanting for the... He didn't need to do that. You know that. Everyone's chanting, "Fuck CM Punk," and this dude goes on social and says, "I was chanting for the elite." Just in case you were wondering whose side he was on. But that was obviously to make everyone know that he heard you. He heard the fuck CM Punk, Funkasaurus, fuck CM Punk chants. And Colt Cabana just wanted to acknowledge all of those peeps and saying he too was rooting for the elite. Colt Cabana throwing a little bit of a jab over to the Punkster. Punky Brewster. Anyway, that's what I got for you guys, man. That was a lot of news in a short amount of time. And I probably could go over a few other stories, but you know what? I'm going to let you go about your fucking Monday so you can catch Monday Night Raw, and I don't know if that's going to put you to sleep really fast or it's going to be engaging, but we're all going to tune in out of habit and hope, and we're going to hope that it's a good fucking product. This is the go-home show for Survivor Series, guys. I know that's hard to think about, but for Monday Night Raw, this is the go-home show. And then SmackDown will produce their go-home show, and then 24 hours later, it's Survivor Series time. I mean, that's how fast this came up, and the card is still not even half produced. We don't even know what half the card is. We're still trying to find out that fifth participant for the ladies, for the faces. But she's got blue hair on the shadow, Beasley. Well, let's hope, right? All right, guys. Top guy, I am out. Think, be, live, amped always. And I think I'm expecting my assistant Sasha within the next 10 minutes, I believe. So hopefully I'll get that graph up and show you that graphic too, man. Hopefully she can put that up in post-edit. Till next time, man. BC, say and check you. I'll be with you guys and then within the next 24 hours for the Raw review. All 3 hours. I will review that son of a bitch somehow, some way. Whether it's fucking really bad or hopefully really good. Till then, check you.